I think if,
You can start
yeah, you
over.
could start over, yeah.
Okay. Um, greetings, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be in this space, good brothers. So, I'm Dr. Pooch. As I was saying, I I didn't choose this name, and I can't hide from this name anymore. Being a man, um, I got into holistic health back in about 2011, 2012. I became certified as a holistic health coach, and I would run programs kind of like this, except it was still in person. Um, right off of Crenshaw, the brother in Texas was talking about, he's familiar with that area. So right off of Crenshaw, like Crenshaw in the 40s, like 43rd area, Lemur Park, uh, I conducted a group of a group of strong brothers, and it was very powerful. We had, 10, 12, 13. It got to it every week. It was just every Friday we would meet, and it became just a great opportunity to share and talk about holistic health. I didn't know one of the brothers passed away. He was dealing with an issue with a chronic issue, lupus, I believe, and he passed away. It was like he was silent about it, but he was coming to these meetings, and we were sharing knowledge, exchanging books, and just putting each other on game on what we should know as men, as leaders of our homes. So that's where I started this work. Obviously, when Black men get together, there's a lot of entrepreneurial spirit that goes on. One is pulling this way, one is pulling this way. There's a lot of dysfunction too, because we sometimes can't work together, and there's a lot of egos. Who's going to be on top of the totem pole? Who's going to be the, who's running the pack type of mentalities. So I was just, kind of doing that work, seeing where I would be most effective. And ultimately, I just pulled all of my talents, all of my life passions, which were writing, children's education, all of my actual work, like my working days, clocking in. I would be working in schools. I was working in the classroom. On in one-on-one cases, right? Specifically in the autistic community, or on the spectrum, ADHD. I had a number of cases, children that I helped. I would follow them. Then I had other positions within the classroom, but it was always around um, this demographic that's increasing in classrooms and becoming more and more normalized, right? This on the spectrum community, children that are dealing with inflammatory issues early on, gastrointestinal issues early on. And I'm just like taking notes, like seeing what's going on in the school system, that more and more children are checking out, like they're literally gone. Like there's, some have different levels of cognitive function, but a lot of them are like, there's no, there's a barrier. It's like a wall, dealing with specifically autism. And so that was my work career. And so my passions were writing. I did albums. I could talk for days about the music and all of that, and where that took me. But ultimately, I merged these two passions for health, children, and writing in a book series. And it's ironic that it kind of rhymes with Dr. Seuss, but I'm Dr. Pooch, and so I focus on children's holistic health. So I wrote a series. I was actually on a school tour. We were going from inner city schools like South Central LA, East LA. We were going to Long Beach, and further out, we were going to other cities outside of the district of Los Angeles at the time. And I was learning, like, oh, this is an important topic. Like, these children are really dealing with bullying here. Oh, let me write a book on bullying. And the books were just coming to me one after the next, after the next, after the next. And so, this is kind of a long-winded introduction, but I want to get to the presentation, because this is the meat and potatoes. Like, so ultimately, I developed a children's book series, and I'm still developing books. I'm now at my 13th book. I just released my 13th book, which is for an older demographic. It's about breath work, to manage stress, depression, trauma, all through the breath. And that's a beautiful book because the children are traumatized, especially post COVID right now. There's something that went on that's been unaddressed, and we need to address it as, the man in the room type of thing. Like, we need to address these things that are kind of uncomfortable, and nobody really knows, like, we're traumatized, so nobody really knows how to deal with these things. So these are some of one of the books that I have is called Toxic Tales. So this book, I deal with environmental toxins. So why are the homes inside of our homes, right? The cleaners that we use, even in the cleaners in the car, like that smell, that new car smell, that's vinyl chloride. That's the chemical spill that just happened in Ohio. That's the new car smell, vinyl chloride. The brother was talking about his grass and all the chemical pesticides, the glyphosate that we're putting on the lawns, brother. If that is, I'm assuming, I'm making an assumption, but if it is a Roundup product, right, Roundup Ready, then it contains glyphosate, and glyphosate is now responsible for the celiac disease, for the irritable bowel syndrome, for the chronic gastrointestinal inflammation, for the leaky gut syndrome. And if you have leaky gut syndrome, then you're going to have leaky brain syndrome. It's all interrelated because your gut is your first brain. And so what's going on? This book, I literally, now I kind of coined it. Being in New York, I'm in New York right now. So, the hustle is real, the words just flow. And so I was out in Brooklyn, and actually I was doing an event in Harlem, and it just came out. I said, it's like Dr. Seuss meets Dr. Sabi. And I said, oh, whoa, like that's it. That's my tagline. It's like Dr. Seuss meets Dr. Sabi. And that's really what this is, because I cover literally every topic imaginable for holistic health. There's 12 books, and it's putting the children up to speed to what us as adults, we barely are just beginning to comprehend, that it gets that deep. It's the smells that are around us. It's the fabrics that we're wearing. It's the things we're putting on our skin and using on our hair. It's the quality of the water. It's like literally everything, holistic health. So we have to be holistic to be able, because we're the leaders of our household. If we say, hey, we need to, run it this way. I want to have this type of food in the fridge. I want to, stock the cabinets this way. I want to make sure the lawn is this way. I want to make sure that we're growing food and we got, there's sustainability. We're eating from the garden and all of that. Like, okay, it starts here. Now we have the manuscript, K through third grade, easy. K through third grade, activities, games, like, this is literally everything. Like, the kids are going to get, you know, here, like this word right here. I don't know if y'all see it, atrazine, right? I guarantee I could, I guarantee none of you know the dangers of atrazine, right? But this is the number 2 pesticide in America. And atrazine is at the forefront, in my opinion, of the topic of everything that's going on, because if it disrupts our endocrine system is our hormones, and that's how we feel, right? So all these conversations about I feel this way and I feel that way, if something is disrupting our hormones, then we're going to feel different about things, and so we can't process it properly because our feelings are, you see what I'm saying? There's a conflict with what's going on. Things are totally out of balance, men and women. Hormonally, we're out of balance, and this is done through the environmental toxins that the Environmental Protection Agency, they admit to this. They know, like, all this stuff is not, conspiracy theorists, whatever. This is evidence-based stuff. And that's why I want to get into, this presentation, because I focus on evidence-based information that the mainstream is not telling you. And we need to really accelerate our knowledge and the way that we're doing things, because we're living in the first generation of parents that may outlive their own children. You understand what that would like? So there is no second generation. Now we have, many children who are, may choose, a same-sex marriage or something like that. We have an agenda being pushed where, the children are being, fast-tracked to transition, where we have children that are 1 in 38 on the autism spectrum, right? 1 in 38. And the numbers are increasing on the autism spectrum, so they're not procreating. We have children that are 1 in 3 children are overweight or obese, already dealing with diabetes, chronic, inflammation, low level inflammation. I mean, like, so now the numbers are dwindling, dwindling, dwindling. I want grandchildren. I want great grandchildren. So it's up to us to do something different, because the trend by 2030 is that the male sperm count is at 0. This is not conspiracy, gentlemen. This is the news. This is the news. So there's something going on that we're partaking in that's not right. That's something that's is derailing, So we have to call things back into attention. And so basically, like, the book has activities like you write a letter to the neighbor, or you write a letter to your local, politician, or the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, or you become a little bit more active on the community level, on the inside your home, on the community level, and then to the larger world, right? Or inside the classroom, then back into the home, then to the community, then to the larger world. And so it's the micro to the macro, and the macro to the micro is it's holistic. So I'll stop there. Yeah, I could talk for days about these things. Would you like me to get into the presentation? I prepared like just a few slides that I wanted, just start off, read to you guys, and we could talk about it. Let me see how to.
Yes. Are there any
share.
questions? So does anyone have any questions?
Probably have more questions after we see the presentation. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw something about this too. I'm I ain't gonna say a Dr. Peterson fan, Jordan Peterson fan, but he was just talking about this in at length with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. about that pesticide that's mainly they put it in the water, and then what happens where they were experimenting with frogs, where the frogs
That's
were
atrazine.
male, atrazine, right, and then they
That's what I
female.
just noted.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I think I know what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's the main reason I got rid of a lot of plastic in the house, because when BPA was big, I just got rid of plastic. But okay. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the presentation, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So beautiful. So I would have lost money right there, because you have heard of atrazine, which is great, and you're listening to alternative doctors that are definitely not the mainstream. And Jordan Peterson, these people were really censored and silenced, and we have to kind of figure out, like, why are these voices being silenced? These are the voices of reason in our time, and he's a accredited doctor. So that being said, let me share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see this? Okay.
Yep.
So Real Dads Network presents Healthcare versus Self-Care, by Dr. Pooch. So $4.3 trillion that we spend on healthcare. How much does the United States spend on healthcare? The United States has one of the highest costs of healthcare in the world. In 2021, US healthcare spending reached 4.3 trillion, which averages about 12,900 per person. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to spend $12,900 in doctor's fees every year. That's just me. I don't want to be in that position. Now, this is a slide. I just put these slides together, last night, just thinking about this conversation, and I met Derek at an event recently, and he talked about the analogy of a car, right? So I'm gonna kind of utilize that analogy and take it on a little different twist. So drive-throughs, how much do we spend at the drive-through? Americans spend more than $1,200 on fast food every year. So on average, Americans spend more than $1,200, that's 36.6% on fast food annually, $100 monthly, 13 $13.15 weekly, or $3.39 daily. The average American household reportedly spends 10% of its daily income on fast food. Okay, so fast food, we all know these are processed, synthetic, non-foods. They're not really in the category of foods, nutritional food that builds you up. These are one of the main reasons of the state of adverse health in the nation. It's processed food through restaurants like this, fast food restaurants. Now, would you, if you had a Bentley, and I'm not saying you brothers don't, I see y'all some good looking brothers, right? And y'all, I'm sure that one of y'all I already lost one bet, so I'm not gonna put more money on the table, but maybe one of you guys have a Bentley right in the garage, right? And so would you be in a Bentley and go to that McDonald's or to that Burger King or to that Taco Bell? Would you ride that Bentley through there, right? Because the Bentley is the finest. The Bentley only goes to neighborhoods and restaurants and clubs that are the most chic, right? So would you be in that Bentley rolling down your window, like, let me get that number 2 with fries, vanilla milkshake, like, all of that. Like, would you be putting, so ultimately, would you be putting your body, if your body is a Bentley, your body is that double R, that Rolls Royce, will you be putting in poisons inside your body, right? Would you be putting in the cheapest of synthetic oils in that Bentley when you're doing the oil change? Would you be cutting corners when you repair the brakes? Would you be cutting corners when you're putting in transmission fluid in that Bentley, right? So you wouldn't, because it's a Bentley. But why do we cheat ourselves and use these hazardous seed oils, the canola oils, the corn oils, right? Why do we, we're eating the cheapest of processed foods, the chips and the worst of the worst, right? We know what these Takis are doing back to the gut. We know what the hot Cheetos and all of these things, we know what they're doing to the gut, especially to the children. So if we value our children as if they were Bentleys, would we be giving them this quality of food? We're literally fueling their cells every meal, with every engagement, even the love that we give them, that's fueling their cells, right? So, is healthcare killing you? Here's another question. Based on a study, I just copy pasted it, so some things don't make sense, but based on a study, I'll show you the study in a second. At least 250,000 Americans die each year due to some sort of medical error. But depending on what is considered a medical mistake, that number could be as high as 440,000. Y'all understand that? That means your doctor that you went through, that your health care paid for, made a mistake and you died. The uncle died, your daddy died, or mama died, big mama, like somebody died because the doctor made a mistake, or the child, God forbid, because the doctor made a mistake. Now here, don't take my word for it. Here's the National Library of Medicine, right? The NIH, National Library of Medicine. We know the NIH now. Now we know all of these global, health institutions. They have compiled all of these studies. Okay, look at the title. It says your healthcare may kill you. Medical errors. All right. Then it says in the first line, recent studies of medical errors have estimated errors may account for as many as 251,000 deaths annually in the United States, making medical errors the third leading cause of death. Okay, I circled it right on top of the title. Is 2017. Okay, this is in 2017. They said medical errors. That means doctors are almost as dangerous as heart attacks. They're almost as dangerous. Okay, we're going to go down the list and we're going to show you what the other illnesses are, but doctors are number 3 on your tail. Okay, that switched up in a second. Hold on. So leading causes of death. Once again, this is from the CDC. Look at the top left corner, CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, National Centers of Health Statistics, leading causes of death, okay? Heart disease, #1, heart disease. That's what you're gonna get in the drive-through. That's what you're gonna get in all the processed food, all the oils, the corn oils, the canola oils, all of these, GMO, toxic seed oils, right? Cancer is at #2. 605,213 people die annually of cancer, okay? Cancer, right? And we still don't know how to treat cancer yet, okay? We have chemotherapy, that's all we got, okay? Now, COVID came in line, okay? This is recent. COVID came in line at 416,000, but we know that COVID is ambiguous, and there's a lot of doctors that are saying that they were forced to put COVID on the thing, even if there was like other factors involved, they will put COVID and it inflated the numbers, okay? So that's now COVID is at #3, okay? Medical accidents, I circled on the right, of course, it's not part of this list. Medical accidents, #4, being at 251,000, because we saw from this slide, it's 251,000. So here, it's more than accidents, unintentional injuries at 224,000. So medical errors is high up on the list, okay? Chronic lower respiratory disease, Alzheimer's disease, chronic liver cirrhosis, nephritis, nephrotic syndrome, right? All kidney ailments and stuff, diabetes, right? So all of those are lower on the list. Doctors' mistakes, doctor errors, and it said in that paper, it could be as much as 441,000. So it really could be even beating COVID numbers, right? This is the NIH telling you, could your doctor be killing you? Okay, so healthcare versus self-care, all right? Now, I'm sorry for this. Like I said, I'm moving a little too fast, and I bounced it before I made it as big as I wanted to on this spread. However, this is from the Mayo Clinic, and it's talking about the capsicum's connection to the heart. So capsicum is a component in cayenne pepper. Okay, cayenne pepper. So now we're getting into, we saw what the healthcare can do. We saw the damage and the numbers that they are admitting. These are their numbers. I'm not inflating anything. You saw it from their centers and their libraries and their databases, right? You just saw it from them. Now, this is healthcare. Capsicum, cayenne pepper, 1/4 of a teaspoon. I've measured it myself in patients. They had the measuring like blood pressure, right? Within 15 minutes, it dropped significantly. Their blood pressure dropped significantly with 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper mixed in some water. Some lemon water is what, lemon or lime water, a cup of water, and capsicum, which is powdered cayenne pepper, significantly reduce the blood pressure, because cayenne pepper distributes blood evenly throughout the body, okay? So if you're having poor circulation, capsicum, cayenne pepper can distribute your blood evenly, okay? If there's an emergency attack, somebody gets hit, like a bullet wound or something like that, and they're just, bleeding out blood, like, you give them capsicum, right? You give them cayenne pepper, gulp it down, right? And it'll start distributing their blood evenly, so it's not pouring out, right? It's going to help seal that and distribute the blood evenly. This can literally save our life, right? If somebody's having a heart attack, you give them that, it's going to immediately have an effect. It's very strong. I'm sure if you're taking cayenne, I'm talking to Black brothers, like, we know how strong raw cayenne pepper is, right? So using that as a medicine, this is something that the brother could, he's probably growing some right now, some peppers, and these can save our life. This is, I apologize once again, I didn't stretch this properly, but the effect of, this is from the Journal of Advanced Pharmaceutical Technology and Research, also from the NIH website. If you see on the top left, this is from the NIH website. The effects of hibiscus on blood pressure in patients with stage 1 hypertension. If you have hypertension, once again, hibiscus. Hibiscus is sorrel, or some people call it bisop, or some people call it what do they call it? It's that red, the red leaf, hibiscus. I mean, hibiscus, it's like the original Kool-Aid. This is what they tried to make Kool-Aid from, because West African people and indigenous people of Americas, this was a drink of choice, the hibiscus flower, right? So they dry the flower, soak it in some water or boil it, whichever one, and you're going to get a rich fluid that will lower your blood pressure just by drinking the juice, the water of a flower, flower water, basically. This is so easy. You can grow this, once again, for free in your backyard. It's free. So healthcare versus self-care. Which one do we really want to do when we can overdose and our blood pressure can drop too low off of certain drugs, So here we go once again. Graviola. Graviola is soursop. Soursop is a fruit, right? It's a white fruit, has it's kind of fleshy, it's like spiky on the outside, right? Cherimoya, it's from that same family. And the leaves of graviola are very anti-cancer, okay? The leaves, and of course, the fruit as well, the fruit of the tree. Don't eat the seeds though, the seeds are toxic, but the fruit is the flesh of that fruit is great. And the leaves you can see here. So this is anti-cancer properties of graviola, a comprehensive mechanistic review. So it goes on into like deep details, right? Then it goes right here where I circled. There's already one clinical case report which describes a 66-year-old female who was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer and whose metastases had progressed even after multiple rounds of chemotherapy. So they're saying the chemotherapy didn't work multiple times. That it metastasized, meaning it grew again, the cancer grew again after they had given her multiple rounds of chemotherapy. Okay, this patient self-medicated by boiling 10 to 12 dry leaves of graviola, soursop, in water for 5 to 7 minutes, then orally consumed an 8-ounce daily dose of this aqueous extract. Her metastases remained stable for 5 years on graviola. Okay, this is the NIH saying that chemotherapy didn't work, multiple rounds. She took 10 leaves or 12, no more, in a little tea, okay? And her cancer did not duplicate, replicate, and invade her breast. Come on, it's almost too easy. And they're telling you it's too easy, okay? So I'm that's my time. I don't want to go on. I just wanted to give a few little nuggets that we can start a real conversation. This is a workshop that I did in, right off of Crenshaw Boulevard. Actually, this school was right off of Crenshaw. I love these kids. And it's so effective because in one generation, we can train these kids to utilize everything that I just mentioned. Everything that I just mentioned, I talk about in my book, right? In my books. Right? Children are going to understand and know that superfoods are super fun. You can see that girl holding up the picture, or whole food is better, so keep it together. Like these are, Derek saw like, my wordplay, like I'm a writer first, but this health is a real thing. And so I fuse those together in a seamless way where now it's easy. I gave you as parents, as fathers, the bars, literally, like the language to utilize at the kitchen table or around the house, or, what I'm saying? I made it too easy. So This is the book series. There's 12. This is the Get Well Johnny book series, K through third. I have another book, like I said, on breath work outside of this series, and more that I'm developing. Sugar from Nature is always fine. Superfoods are super fun. Whole food is better. He stood up for himself. I mean, I cover everything, even inflammation, growing food. It started from seed. Sugar and salt are always at fault. Like it's the series is robust. Like it's really complete. Like there's nothing that can be taken out. There's really not too much that could be added in. Like I'm racking my mind every day thinking, what can I add in? I have one book already done. I might add that to the series, but it's complete as it is. So, thank you. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions. Like let's talk about it.
I'm sure there's some questions. Thank you so much. I think what comes across is your passion, your sincerity, your commitment to holistic health, education, literacy, and implementation of these strategies. So there is a hand. So I'll yield and let Adisa talk. But thank you for that. That was profound.
Go ahead, brother. You got your hand up, Adisa.
Oh, okay. Mine is not so much a question. I do like your passion. I'm a guy of a different generation, the 60s, and I remember, maybe most of the brothers remember also, a book called Back to Eden, where they talked about a lot of this stuff. When I'm listening to you, and I'm like, yeah, he definitely did his homework, his studying, because this Dr. Gross said these things in the 1800s, and it's beautiful that you're bringing it to modern times, to the 21st century.
That's right. And beyond.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
All right, bro.
Dr. Pooch, I have a question. You had mentioned that, medical errors are the third leading cause of death.
Mm-hmm.
So what should men do in regards to going to the doctor? Should they get second opinions, third opinions?
Mm-hmm.
What should they do to sort of make sure they're not one of the errors?
You said so. I got a song called "Second Opinion." You need a second opinion. I'll send it to you. It's a really good song. Absolutely, get a second opinion. Get a third opinion. I was talking to a woman yesterday. Even if you get it was so interesting, the conversation. She's about upper 60s, white woman. She lives in Florida now, but I forgot where she moved from. She was dealing with different problems all throughout her body. She had multiple hernias, all types of issues going on, and nobody could diagnose her. They did a CAT scan, and they missed a major thing in her CAT scan. Now, the next doctor that she went to trying to get a second opinion, she took the results of that CAT scan and showed them the CAT scan. And because this doctor was in cahoots, or maybe not in cahoots, but knew the other doctor, he couldn't say this doctor missed out on something so important, right? So he kind of like protected his doctor friend and said, oh, I don't see anything either. You see what I'm saying? So it's a dangerous game that we're playing when either doctors are uninformed and they miss things, right? Because the training in America is not really what it should be. This woman had to contact doctors from Iraq, doctors from Egypt, doctors from India, and they're the ones who saw clearly the issue that she was dealing with, and she was dealing with a parasitic infection, right? So they always want to make it seem like certain issues are of the third world. Oh, you go to Africa, you're going to have parasites, but people here, obviously have parasites because we have pets at an all-time high, right? And so your veterinarian is going to say deworm your animal every 3 months, but your doctor is never going to ask you if you have a pet at home and are you deworming yourself. You see what I'm saying? But these are the things, like the brother said, back in the day, grandma and them and great grandma and them understood you better get rid of all them, worms that you have through the seasons, and eating right, eating within the seasons. So there's a lot of there's a whole protocol that we took out of medicine. So a second opinion, to answer your question, a second opinion may or may not help, right? I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. Go to the doctor, get all the tests that you can, but learn how to read these tests yourself. This is your body, right? Learn how to understand your own body. Learn how to take different tests, get the blood work, get the different, get the different tests and learn what those markers are so you know yourself. Like there was such a easy tool, like those diabetic patches, and you just have the sensor right there and you just boom, you know what I'm saying? Easy. And then boom, you just see like, oh, it's 120. I don't need to take a shot. Boom, it's 120. I had a patient, he couldn't heal his foot, from getting amputated off of the complications of diabetes, right? The foot got amputated, but the wound wouldn't heal because of the diabetes, right? So we changed the diet, in 30 days, the wound healed. And the man didn't need to use insulin, anymore, because the blood sugar was at 120. So now it's only a psychological issue that you're dealing with. This person thinks that they're sick, that they need the medicine. Oh, I need my insulin. I need to take my shot. But it's the food choices. Because if we switch, I give you something, it's not going to spike your sugar. I give you some herbs, boom, that's going to take care of the excess sugar in the blood. And now the body's working all of a sudden. So you don't have a dead pancreas. You're just eating the wrong stuff and it's constantly spiking your sugar. So, insulin is never going to get rid of diabetes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have the tools, we have all of these tools and science and technology to utilize. Let's learn how to utilize it to manage our health. Yeah. Go ahead, Jerome or Noah. Let's make it.
Noah was next, and then Jerome and Doug.
Okay. All right. So yeah, man, this is like something I've been into for a little while now. And I've learned that the medical industry is more like a medical industrial complex now. You know what I mean? Huge profit. You could pay these doctors off. I remember I was in Florida. I was a personal trainer, and I was training this billionaire who owned hospitals, and he had the game like, oh man, we just in there for profit. And you just see it, how these doctors don't even go by the Hippocratic oath during COVID. They were just told, hey, you push this, we don't care, push this Moderna, push this, all this other stuff for COVID. We just in it for profit. My question is too, I used to always go to these guys were growing their own food. So pro whole, they was part of the game, presents as healthy food, but they get to put Monsanto stuff all in their stuff too, and they're supposed to be quote unquote holistic or whole foods.
They're not.
Contacts outside of like the FOI where, or some other farmers that we can get with to get these foods direct, because like, man, the problem with Chicago and a lot of these other places, we suffer from a food desert in the hood. You had to go elsewhere, else you was at the corner store, the bodega, getting some bull.
Mm-hmm. Look, so I got the
we get a little bit more.
So I got the solution for that, because you got to cut out the middleman, and the only way that we could affect change is by hitting them in the pocket, hitting them where it hurts, because that's the only thing that they care about is the bottom line, right? So these places like Whole Foods and like Trader Joe's and all of these places, they have buyers, they have people that sell them the produce. They have organizations that are even only organic. Back in LA, I used to pick up my food on a 2-week, 3-week basis or whatever. I used to pick up boxes of like organic vegetables, right? It might be more than I can consume, but I'll dish it out to a neighbor, give some to my mom, give some to, you know what I mean? But I'm buying it for cheap. I'm buying pounds, like 30, 40-pound boxes coming home like, look, we got groceries. You know what I'm saying? So now within communities, you can do that. Within, if all of us lived on the same block, or all of us lived, in proximity to each other in the same city, then we can meet up every, recurring schedule. We piece in on a pool and we buy direct from the person that is selling to these big brands like, Amazon. Is because it's not even Whole Food anymore. It's Amazon. They got bought out. It's big business. So we could buy and they're marking up the price by 4, right? So we could buy it at 4 times less the price from, the person who's selling it to these big stores, right? And that's how we control it. And that's how we control. And then we understand what, we have a deeper connection to who that is, because so it's not like it came from the farmer, then it went to the distribution center, then from the distribution center it went to this one, then to then finally to you. Nah, we cut everybody out and we go straight to either the farmer, the small farmer, or we go to the person who's distributing that farmer's produce, and we cut out the middleman. Easy as that. Not only are we saving money, but we're saving our health.
Sorry about cutting out, man. I'm driving. I got a bad signal. But yeah, man, that was one issue that I find. I mean, even as a truck driver, because I'm in the backwoods, the back alleys, and back blocks, and all this other stuff. But my issue is, we don't see people too much looking like the farmers. You don't see black farmers at all. Like it is something. It's amazing, and it's like, okay, you got white farmers, but then now turn around, now you got Mexican farmers, because Mexicans are just taking over all of it, which is cool because they're hard workers, but it's just like, man, they're trying to purposely push us out particularly. And yeah, man, that's my issue. But yeah, man, keep on doing your thing, man. I appreciate everything that you're doing, man. We will definitely support this, man.
Thank you. And like so if you're always traveling, right, you can buy food that you can either sprout. So you're buying seeds, right, that you can sprout on the road, like in your windshield or in the, whatever. And you're literally growing your food as you're driving, as you're, going along. All you need is some like a gallon of water, and you water them mugs. And you're getting like mason jars full of like fresh food that you're growing. You know what you put into that. You see what I'm saying? And even if that's just one meal, if that's just replacing one meal, you did something powerful for your health. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So there's like so many solutions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we got Tyrone's farmer. He's showing his garden.
Dr. Pooch.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. You are like a breath of fresh air, man.
Thank you.
You're very informative. You're like, it's like a 6-year-old can understand it the way you break it down. And I appreciate that, because I'm like a 6-year-old listening to you,
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I have a couple of questions. The first question is, I have hypertension, and you have mentioned cayenne pepper.
Mhm.
Is you take cayenne pepper by itself, or other ingredients?
Yeah, just you want to mix it in water. Like you get powdered cayenne pepper. Get some organic brand. I always rather get organic. There are companies that I can list that sell, by the pound, or by the quarter pound, like a little like pouch like that. You get that'll more than suffice for your medicine. Okay, a little quarter pound of thing. That's, you're not gonna pay like less than $20. You're gonna pay something cheap, and you take literally, like, you could start off with an eighth of a teaspoon, because it's gonna be a shock to your system. It's kind of strong just to like down it in a little cup of water. So in water, what I do, when I was giving it to somebody, or when I recommend, get a cup of water, put some lime in there or some lemon. The citrus is always good, because the hypertension is what's happening is there's a restriction of the blood vessels. So something is clogging it. right? So
Right.
so now you want to open those up to dilate, to cut the grease basically. So the lemon is going to cut the grease. It's going to cut through all of that grime and all the calcified mucus and all of these things that are in our system, right?
Right.
Lime juice, lime water rather, lime water, right? And then so you could put like in a gallon of water, add uh maybe a cup to 2 cups of lime or lemon, right?
Right.
And then you add, I'd say in a gallon, at least half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and you drink that. Drink that
One.
throughout the day, brother.
Oh, or more than once a day, more than one
Nah,
time.
you can drink, yeah, you can drink that throughout the day. If you're having a
Oh,
chronic issue, this is a food. Don't think of it as a medicine. This is a food. So
oh,
you can start
okay.
off with like a eighth of a teaspoon, like literally a minute amount, right? And you
Yeah.
put it in some water, you put a little, you take a shot, and you can measure your own blood pressure. Wait like 10 to 15 minutes, and you'll measure your own blood pressure and you'll see it drop point by point by point. So
Wow.
you can see it evenly distributes the blood. If you have cold feet, you're gonna feel like the tingling on your feet, and wherever the cayenne pepper is, the blood is gonna flow to that area.
Okay. Now you had said that you was in Texas. You're in New York now?
Yeah, I was in LA,
LA,
but now
yeah.
I'm in New York. Yeah,
So you're living here in New York.
that's right.
So we can reach out to you now.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay. And the next question is, holistic, like I'm not really, I know a little bit, very little about holistic medicine. Is there like a book for holistic for dummies to get caught up with the basics on holistic?
I wrote the series.
Oh, there it is. See
It's
you
for
laughing, Derek.
kids. It's for a 6-year-old that a 6-year-old can understand.
Oh,
It's
okay.
literally like I wrote it so simple that literally a 6-year-old, 7, 8, 6, 7, and 8-year-old can fully understand what inflammation is, how it presents itself in the body, what are anti-inflammatory foods, what are inflammatory foods, what are some environmental toxins, what waters are there to drink, what can I do to even change the molecular structure of my water. Like, it's very deep, yet very, very simple how I presented these things.
Wow. And I'm just gonna say this here and pass it on because like Brother Noah was saying about the food industry. I don't know if a lot of you brothers are aware of what's going on with our food. I don't know if you noticed that Bill Gates is buying up all the farms now. And he got a master plan because he used to go to Africa years ago and give our African brothers and sisters shots in their arm, and that was to kill the babies, and they couldn't make babies, and they didn't know any better because he went over like he was doing something for them, and he was actually killing them.
Mhm.
And this is his master plan. So now he's buying up all these farms. You Google Bill Gates buying farms, and it's gonna blow your mind how many
He
farms.
owns he owns
Right,
farmland. He's the biggest farm land holder
exactly,
in America.
in
And the reason
America.
is because now they understand, like they've been doing it. They've been fusing with genetically modified foods and whatnot. They can program it, and they can target even a specific people. They can you can once you understand genetics, this is like laser point target, to what you want, the effect that you want, right? So certain foods are laced with an E. coli. They're grown, like laboratory grown, with an E. coli bacteria, and so what is E. coli doing in the food source, in the food system? There's very questionable things that are happening. Like, we know what's up, and that's why the time is literally right now, because somebody's trying to engineer a future for us that where they don't really, that if they want us here, it's going to be to their liking, and like the brother said, like, if you understand what atrazine is a direct attack to masculinity. It's a direct attack to masculinity. I'm talking to my brothers right now. You know, it's a direct attack, and nobody can argue that. The science is out. I can show you on that same NIH website. They have a study, and it said the chemical castration. This is the title: the chemical castration of the male African. No, it said the complete chemical castration of the African male bullfrog, or no, the complete feminization of the African male bullfrog, and chemical castration through this the second most popular pesticide in America.
Can I interject too? Can I interject there?
Go
Because
ahead, go ahead.
that's why you get off your babies off the Similac, because the Similac was studied and it was proven with that. And this is why you see these hybrid boys. If you understand, these boys are beautiful and they look like girls,
Mhm.
but they were been on the Similac. So they were trying to sit up there and say there was a gay gene, but there's not.
Mm-mm.
This is actually engineered, and you will
Indeed.
see the difference between our generation and how we were growing beards, and these little boys, they look like little girls, but
Yeah.
they're not doing anything. But this is what this brother's talking about. It's real. And I got something else to say, but I'm gonna let somebody else talk.
It's
Well,
real.
can I
Yeah.
chime in real quick? And this is related to what Brother Noah said. I think the issue is due to the fact that women don't breastfeed anymore. So of course, all that Similac is available. We need to, I guess, I have a bunch of sisters. We need to convince them, well, none of them are childbearing age anymore, but we need to convince the women to, promote the breastfeeding thing,
It's
and then
it's
we won't
it's
have
true,
to.
brother. You're right. I'm not gonna say that you're wrong. You're absolutely right. But the atrazine is found even in like over 30 million Americans' tap water. Okay, so if you're drinking the tap water, the mother has to stay hydrated to even produce that milk. The baby is getting the atrazine through the breast milk. Okay, like this is right now. Actually, just yesterday, I was looking at some studies. Um, the school lunches, and it's crazy because as the brother was saying, if you're looking at baby food, look at there's lawsuits right now, class action lawsuits on baby food, okay, with hot heavy metals, like I'm talking about thousands of times more than the EPA regulation, thousands of times more in baby food, even the organic brand baby food, okay, and this is, you can find a plethora of articles on this. And then the school lunches, they found the toxic heavy metals. They found atrazine in amongst some of the chemicals in there. They found so many pollutants and contaminants within the school lunches. So we have to be on guard. So you see how it happens. They give you a chemical that's literally changing your child, and now they're changing the education that they're giving your child. And it's logical for in their shoes. It's logical. We have to teach them this because they're forming and becoming something else. I was at a field trip today, at my son's field trip, and I can see certain things. My son is in first grade. I see a kid who has gray hair already in the first grade. I see many obese children. I see a child who has alopecia patches. He had to wear like a little happy birthday hat just to cover it, but it's a alopecia patch that's over his head. Like, one kid, pre-diabetic, you can see with the rings on the neck. There's things that's going on right now with it. If we're not actively on guard, yo,
Well, maybe I should say under ideal conditions,
yeah,
because I think a lot of us, go to the doctor. I know once I reached a certain age, when I hit 60, I said, okay, I'm going to have to be a little more vigilant about getting these checkups. So under ideal conditions, I have to say, I think it's best. I mean, our parents, for those who are in their 60s like me, they breastfed. I don't even recall any Similac during those days.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about the 60s. I could be wrong, you know?
Mhm. Now, definitely something's changed. There's a social engineering, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
then people ate differently also. Like McDonald's wasn't the big thing then in the 60s.
Mhm.
You know, where my brother Pooch at? Because I'm an Eastern York guy too, but I've been in Queens now for years.
Eastern York, baby. Eastern York is in the
Yes.
building.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, when I was growing up, we moved from Harlem to Eastern York in the
Right.
60s.
Right.
And pretty much people, because we moved with my grandpa, pretty much people were even growing their stuff in their backyards. My grandpa, he owned the building that we lived in. But now, you know, it's a little different. But like you were saying, brother doctor, with the fast food stuff, you know, it makes it a little bit difficult for, I guess, hey, look, it may not be good for you, but it tastes good, you know? And so that's the attraction to it. It's like the drugs. Like, you know, when people ask me questions, I'm a retired teacher. They might ask me questions about the drugs, and I tell them, look, the reason why they're taking the drugs is because the drugs make them feel good. You know, people think that, oh, I'm just gonna, they're just taking drugs to get high. No, they're doing it because it makes them feel good. So we need a replacement for that thing that makes them feel good, some type of endorphin or something. But I'm talking too much. I see my brother Doug's hand is up, and Jerome.
Definitely
I'm
been
gonna
patient.
mute myself.
Hey, how you doing, Dr. Pooch?
Hey, what's up?
All right. I believe, yeah, this is a much needed discussion in our African American community. Every black man or every breadwinner in the family of every black household should actually gravitate toward the message that you're giving. Um, I myself, I suffer from something called ulcerative colitis. It's a big thing on inflammation and stuff like that. And I think I shared with Jerome and and Derek about it. You know, I never suffer in silence, and and I tell other black men, if you got something going on, don't suffer in silence. Open your mouth, voice your opinion, and keep voicing it. So somebody eventually is going to give you some answers. You
Hmm.
know, because you know you're fighting for your life. You know, things can progress and get worse if you don't actually put work in. With the ulcerative colitis, it's like pretty much one step away from cancer. So a stomach cancer, whatever you know, however you look at it. So I've been fighting this since like 1991. I know pretty much where I got it from. Working on Rikers Island, pretty much. And it's Rikers Island is a highly toxic environment, which a lot of people don't know that a lot of people who work on the island, their life expectancy is cut drastically short. And most of them who retire don't live past 5 years. Um, a great number always come up with cancer. It's like a cancer cluster.
Mm.
So, you know, I've been doing my homework since I had started working there in '87. Back then, I'm retired now. You
Right.
know, I've been retired 10 years, so I passed the 5 year thing. But the fight is ongoing because the colitis still stays attached
Mm.
as a disease pretty much to me. So I'm always fighting this battle. Um, so you know, yeah. So and then you spoke about chemicals being dangerous to our environment. It's definitely dangerous. If it's dangerous to the environment, it's dangerous to us as humans. Yes, you're correct on that. Um, Inflammation is connected to almost every disease, if not every disease.
Mhm.
And these are some of the things I've studied over the years and years and years. Okay, I want to ask you this, but I'm a vegan now.
Mhm.
Now, do you think becoming a vegan would help in the protection against diseases?
It depends what type of vegan. I don't endorse like fad diets. Um, like you could be a vegan, but you could be eating all the wrong vegan food. You know, I believe highly in food science, you know, what type of food, because like we just said, the food has been engineered a certain way and it's continuing to be. So if I'm starting to eat like, you know, we brought up Bill Gates and the farmland. So they have a banana. They already have studies on this. They have a banana and they can inject the vaccine. So where the vaccine is the food that you're eating, and they did it already in a banana, you know. They already have this technology. So instead of now, they're like, oh, people are reluctant to get the vaccine. Y'all don't want to line up for this vaccine? Okay, eat these bananas, eat these carrots. They up in there. You know what I'm saying? They have the science for this. So depending on, you know, we have to understand what we're eating and how we're eating. What type of food are we putting into our system to address a certain, you know, issue? So I endorse food science. Like what are you eating, you know, to have a certain effect on your body. You know what I'm saying? Like there's what type of vegan? I'm gonna ask you what type of vegan, because it could go up or down. You know, you could be eating mushrooms all day long. That's vegan, but that's a fungus. And depending on what type of mushroom, you know, it could help even metastasize some of those growths and feed, you know, the you know, some of the systems that are going wrong, right? In the you spoke about ulcerative colitis. There's a, if I'm not mistaken, there's the number one drug back in like the 70s. It was being touted as the new super drug. Like it was the next Tylenol, the next, you know, everything. It was wiping everything out. They even have a 60-minute interview on this, right? 60 minutes. And it was the biggest pharmaceutical, like I think like you know, Eli Lilly or something like that, so somebody huge in the pharmacy. And he was like, look, this is gonna kill our whole thing. We have to shut it down. Well, you know what I'm saying? This is gonna kill our whole like business. And he's talking about DMSO. Okay. DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, dimethyl sulfoxide. It's a it's the common name is DMSO. Okay. Now you can look up some studies because they took it off the shelf and the FDA banned it for everybody. But like sports players were using it like as a cream to, like, you know, after they work out or whatever, if they got injured, it was accelerating. It's bringing oxygen to the body, and it's a solvent, and it passes through the skin membranes and goes deep, deep, deep into the body tissues, right? And so they basically they banned this thing, but it's still approved, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, I think I'm right about this, but I could definitely look it up. It's still approved for ulcerative colitis, the DMSO, because it goes deep, deep, deep down, right? It's able to you permeate things, like you put it on your skin, it's gonna go into your bloodstream within seconds, right? So you gotta be careful with it. You have to really understand like what you're dealing with. But this is a super safe, super powerful natural product, right? It's a byproduct of the, you know, the tree industry, like wood and whatnot. So the trees make it. Dimethyl sulfoxide. It's a sulfur, and it's very healing. It's bringing sulfur and oxygen to the body. And I think I'm right about it. It's still approved as a medicine, according to the FDA, for specifically for ulcerative colitis. Otherwise, they put it as a medicine for like veterinarians. You can give it to your dog and your cat and your horse and whatnot, but you can't put it on a human because they know it's powerful, you know? So look up, you know, go through that rabbit hole. I'd be happy to, like, you know, talk further, you know, privately with you, but definitely, like, that's game right there. Go through that rabbit hole and see how you can utilize these things that have evidence. It's evidence based, you know. I'm gonna go with the evidence. Like, some evidence is suppressed, you know, but the evidence was there, you know.
Right. And then I want to touch on the disparity in the healthcare system. It was pointed out during the COVID pandemic. I was following it and reading up on it. I mean, it's big. I think also for every Black American, you know, African American, you have to really be careful of the healthcare system when you go to these doctors and you sitting down talking to these doctors. Some doctors are misleading, so you have to really listen to what they're saying. And then, like for what I'm dealing with the colitis thing, when I go to the doctor, I tell the doctor, listen, I need a C-reactive protein test. I need a vitamin D test. This is what we need to know. The C-reactive protein test will show you how much inflammation is in your system. And the vitamin D, if your vitamin D levels are low, vitamin D is not really a vitamin, it's a hormone. So if your vitamin D levels are low in your body will have a hard time absorbing every other nutrient and vitamin that it needs to help your body, to heal and deliver. So you have to look at your vitamin D levels. Important, especially for Black people, because we got melatonin in our skin, and the melatonin blocks some of the absorption of the vitamin D, even when we're in the sun. And then you have to be in the sun for a long period of time to actually get this vitamin D. And then a lot of times we're wearing long sleeves to protect ourselves from the sun, or wearing sunblock and sunscreen. So you got to ask yourself, are you really getting any sun to get any vitamin D? So you have to, what you can't, if your body can't get it or make it, you have to take it. So you have to supplement a very good form of vitamin D to get your levels up. And I got my blood work the other day, my vitamin D level, it had went down to 32. I said, oh, wait, I'm back up now to a 50. I'm trying to get it higher. So, as long as it's not over 100, you're good pretty much with that and stuff. So those are important factors for our community to know in order to get your health to be at an optimum level of working and stuff like that. And then I just want to touch on one more thing. I once, me and my wife, I bought some protein powder one time. And protein powder isn't good for you anyway. I found out later on, but I bought the protein powder. I used to take it all the time, take that shake and all this and say, yeah, I'm good. That's my supplement for this breakfast or whatever. But it's actually, you got to watch what you're getting. And this was bought at a vitamin shop. And I think the product was called Aura, O-R-A. You could look it up. It was in a blue bottle, and I got it. And then I went on the site because I like to check stuff, but I should have checked it before I bought it. And I got it for a good price. So I checked it. In California, this stuff was banned. A lot of stuff is banned in California, Proposition 65. So I said to myself, wow, why is it banned? And as I further research, it has lead in it or mercury in it. And as I looked up other protein powders, they also contain lead or mercury also. So it's where they're getting these products from. The soil is already contaminated, and they don't try to separate the stuff or safeguard it. They just take it up and say, okay, people want this protein at this demand. Let's give them the demand, the supply and demand, and make the money. They don't worry about the people's health. So you have to do your own homework. And now I don't take protein powder at all. I get it all from my whole foods.
That's right. That's right. Nah, that's 100%, 100%. That's it. If they're not going to do it for us, there's all of the nitrogen fillers and all the nitrogen will destroy your body. And that's what these bodybuilders are, they pump full of nitrogen, but they're destroying their body, especially for a Black person who the carbon, so you're talking about melanin. I have another presentation coming up soon, and I'm talking specifically about points that you just touched on, the vitamin D, specifically for melanated people. Melanated people, now we're living like we're high up on the spectrum. I used to be low in California, right, in the South, right? So there was more sun. It was hotter. Now I'm way up north. There's less sun, So you have to actively get your vitamin D3. The vitamin D3, that's the one that you want. And you can get plant-based vitamin D3.
With K2.
In pine pollen. Pine pollen is a very good source of vitamin D3. And you're getting a ton. That's your liquid gold right there. That's the liquid gold. They always talk about liquid gold. Liquid gold is pine pollen.
Hey, Dr. Pooch, it sounds like that next presentation might be a good reason to come back to the group, because dropped a lot of jewels. Some brothers on here shared some. I mean, we obviously have a great intellectual group of men who are looking for that holistic health in a number of different ways. And clearly we're speaking with some well-educated individuals. I work in the pharmaceutical industry myself, and a lot of what you say, it resonates in terms of, the doctors I interact with. On one level, very basically, they're humans. And so humans make mistakes, but some of the mistakes I've seen don't seem to make a whole lot of sense with them having a, MD at the end of their name. But in any regard, it's come to that time where we usually close out.
Yeah.
So I just want to be cognizant of everybody's time. Uncle Derek, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think Tyrone had just had a question. I don't know if Tyrone's going to be able to ask that question. So he was asking a question about coming to the garden. So Tyrone, we're going to close out. This will be you can ask your question.
Yes, I was just asking, I was, as you were talking about youth and reaching out and even reading, I just think I tried to walk over to the space in the garden because we have two. One is an open garden where you can have a discussion with kids and youth about the vegetables and the healthiness of it. And then the second one is like a classroom environment where I'm growing 1,000 tomatoes that we're giving away to the harvest. So I want to offer the space, but I don't have a nonprofit that would pay for it. I know there's a YMCA, and I spoke with the program director there, and that actually would be something good for the kids. So I'm going to follow up, and hopefully I'll have something positive.
So Dr. Pooch, so Tyrone, would it be okay to give Tyrone your information so you guys can work something out?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, so I'll give him Tyrone, I'll send him your information.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Pooch, thank you, man, for just being here this evening. I really
I want to say,
appreciate
do we have a website we can reach out to him that he can put in the chat?
drpooch.com. drpooch.com.
Okay, drpooch.com. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
Good.
I just say something? I'm sorry, Brother Jerome. I just want to say I'm gonna be looking for a link to send to everyone next meeting, and it's related to blood type and nutrition. Because sometimes we eating the wrong foods based on our blood types. So I'm gonna look. I saw it a number of years ago. I'm gonna look for it. So by the next meeting, I can share the link with you guys. But I also want to say to my brother Doug, I have a link for him also next meeting, and it's related to the colitis. It's from a guy that I follow named Dr. Burke. He gives solutions to, and it's a YouTube video. You can watch it, and he's an official. He's a holistic doctor in addition to being a MD and nutritionist. So I want to send that to you, Brother Doug, when we come back next
Right,
Thursday,
great.
because I'm not missing a Thursday. I haven't missed a Thursday, even, since I had this respiratory thing, so I want to, this is for all of us, really, but tail it really to Brother Doug with the colitis, because I have a friend who has colitis also. And actually, you guys might have known her, the brothers that worked on Rikers, because as you know, I worked on Rikers as a teacher. She retired about a good 8 years ago. Anybody know Miss Woods, who was a teacher there in 74? I was looking at you, Brother Jerome. She retired about a good 8 years ago. Yeah.
I probably got to see her face.
Yeah, you would.
Right,
All the
right.
brothers that retired from Rikers would definitely, if you don't know the name, you know the face, Cynthia Woods. And if any of you brothers live in Far Rockaway, you would probably definitely know her.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Dr. Pooch, before we go, Dr. Pooch, do you do classes, seminars, or do you do anything like that so we can sit in and get knowledge from you?
Yeah, I'm beginning to work on my own course right now, where I can have it's going to be a weekly course, and I'm going to be just pushing it online as alongside my books, like different offers that I have. So I'm curating that right now, and and just to while I have the stage, I was correct about the DMSO. I remember from a study that I read years ago, the DMSO, it says 500 milligrams 4 times a day, orally administered, oral administration, in conjunction with a few, other drugs. You can just type that in, ulcerative colitis, DMSO, and this is the Institute of National Health talking about something that the FDA has banned, but they approved it specifically for ulcerative colitis. So I definitely think there's something to look into in that condition with specifically utilizing this DMSO. That's not the be all end all to it, but it can get deep into the to the area of inflammation.
So,
You know what I mean?
All right, we're gonna, Ron,
I'm gonna check that out.
we have definitely passed. Ron, I
Thank you.
just want to also just thank you, Ron, for facilitating tonight. So thank you, Ron.
Oh,
And,
I didn't do
Ron, you
much.
can close us out, man. Close us out.
Listen. If we don't have health, we don't have anything. You can have that Bentley that showed up on that during the presentation, but it all means nothing unless you have your health. So I'm all about thinking of myself and my body as that pristine vehicle that I'm only putting the best in. So this was food for thought. This was food for life. Definitely and sincerely appreciate it. I appreciate the brotherhood. And when Adisa was saying that he doesn't miss a Thursday, I don't either, man. This is great. It's always great to see you guys. Appreciate you guys, and I love y'all. Have a great
Hey,
evening.
man.
Likewise.
Everybody,
All right, y'all be easy, man.
Love you, bro.
Yeah. Take care.
All right.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
everybody.
brother.
Thank you.
night, brothers.
Good night.
Good night,
Peace.
brother.